In construction, we've always said location, location, location. But today we're talking data, data, data. And you're getting it from your software in the office, from your smartphones, from your drones, and even from your security systems. But how do you manage all this data? Ken Pittman, Chief Marketing Officer from TrueLook, shares some of his insights and examples of how to leverage all this real-time data. Ken, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
So what we're talking about today is, and it's really important. So when we look at a job site and you get these time-lapse camera pictures and you're talking about drones, because now the FAA has given us all kinds of new regulations and you don't want to get in trouble at your job site flying a drone over and not knowing what you're doing, right? So it gives you insights that maybe your construction worker can't go. It's a part of the site you can't go. So what kind of information and data are you actually giving with the types of cameras to the job site? What kind of money, profitability are they saving by using one of your products these days?
Sure. So basically, it's real-time information of what's happening at your job site at any time. So if you're the project manager or even the developer and you're curious what is going on right now, you can always log in and see a live picture or a live streaming video of your job site. And that means if something's going on and you get a call about it, you can check up on it right away. And that also goes back in time. So like I mentioned earlier, you can go back in time and check on previous pictures from your time lapse, basically. So say you have a weather delay you need to justify, you can go back and see what the weather was like at a certain time. Or a subcontractor says they were there and doing something, you can go back and double check all of that. So that's one of the powerful things about the time-lapsing feature. But it's basically really powerful for being able to always be in the know what's going on your job site. We had one customer who just was building a dam. PCL was building a huge dam, and they needed to check when spillover was going on, so they could always know from anywhere exactly what was going on with the dam spilling over, and they could pull out their trucks or whatever was getting potentially wet. And it was just a good way to keep track of what was going on in real time, basically.
So when you look at these, giving that example of what you just described as PCL, are there other examples like that as you've been able to look at with the time lapse and giving that kind of information that really helps with trying to say what you have to do at the job site? You got another great example like that?
Sure. Well, one that comes to mind was a little more simple, but we had a customer where their banner was falling off the building and getting into the road, and they found out just by looking at their webcam real quick. Yeah, that's not good. And we've definitely had plenty of people who were trying to look back in time, like I mentioned, to see what's been going on in the past. So they could go back to a certain date and say, oh, yeah, it was rainy that day, so the workers weren't lying. That's actually why they're behind. So that was helpful. That's been helpful for a lot of people.
Are some of that good when you're doing a lot of government work and saying, why things have been delayed or things that you need to look at? Is that really good for information of really saying we have to document things that happen on the job site that sometimes you have a little bit of a hard time really saying, look, we have something to really show you what the cause of an effect is that's happening at a site?
Certainly, and you can also create all kinds of notes and comments on their pictures, so you can notate exactly what's going on. So it's just a really good documentation tool all around. And as I mentioned, we also have security video recording, so it's basically on a 7-day loop. But if something goes missing, or a worker had an incident and got injured or something, you can go back and see exactly what happened on an actual video, instead of having to be curious about what really happened there.
So you get a good view of somebody doing something goofy. OSHA gets a chance to say, well, that guy said he had his hard hat on, but he really didn't. He was doing something that he shouldn't have been doing. You've got some really good video of being able to see what they've been doing on the site.
That's right. And you're also, if you're worried about OSHA watching your camera, you don't have to be, because it is fully secure and privatized and encrypted. So no one's watching your camera but you.
So when we look at this right now, you really have a great view of everything that's happening on the job site. Looking at that, is there, price-wise, is it competitive? What are you looking at compared to all these other time-lapse cameras that are out there these days?
Sure. So you'll have little one-off cheapo cameras you can just strap on your pole, and it's not live video. There's no time-lapse things, going back in time and stuff like that. That we're going to be more than that, obviously. But with people doing what we're doing, with actual live images, time-lapse recording that are custom time-lapses, security recording, We are one of the top 3 providers for that, and we are definitely the more affordable of those 3. So that's probably why we're doing so well lately.
Well, Ken, we appreciate you being with us today. Ken from TrueLook, thank you so much, and we appreciate all your time. That's great. Thank you for being with us. Now that's something to keep in mind when trying to manage all that data. And that's your Learn It for today.